Iran snatches ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump extends the ceasefire while the U.S. Navy Secretary is fired. Plus, a judge blocks Virginia redistricting and news of wild UK drug busts. Greetings, humanity! Let's grok the news, starting with the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Tehran, and Washington. Tensions in the Middle East escalated again as Iranian forces seized at least 2 cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz just hours after President Trump announced an extension of the fragile ceasefire with Iran amid an ongoing U.S. naval blockade. The moves have raised fears of prolonged disruption to the global energy supplies and shipping routes, with no clear timeline for ending the conflict. Iranian state media and Revolutionary Guard statements confirmed the seizures, describing them as responses to the American blockade that has restricted tanker movements through the critical choke point responsible for about 1/5 of global oil trade. U.S. officials, including CENTCOM, reported multiple vessels turning back or facing interference, while Trump described Iran's government as fractured and signaled openness to further talks without committing to a firm deadline. The developments come against a backdrop of economic strain. China, a major buyer of Iranian oil, is already feeling the impact from earlier tariff and conflict-related pressures, with analysts warning of higher fuel costs rippling worldwide. European logistics firms have seen short-term profit boosts from rerouting the chaos, but longer-term risks to energy security remain high. Lebanon has accused Israel of deliberately targeting a journalist in a recent airstrike, adding to regional accusations of escalation, even as ceasefire enforcement remains uncertain. Trump's extension of the ceasefire, announced shortly before a potential deadline, has drawn mixed reactions. Some U.S. lawmakers urge de-escalation, emphasizing that no one wants a prolonged war, while others question the viability of talks given Iran's refusal to reopen the strait under current blockade conditions. The situation has also cast a shadow over unrelated diplomatic efforts, including Ukraine aid packages and European energy planning. In related defense news, the Pentagon confirmed that Secretary of the Navy John Phelan is exiting the Trump administration effective immediately. The departure comes amid broader leadership reviews within the War Department as the U.S. navigates multiple international flashpoints. No specific reason was detailed publicly, but it follows intense focus on naval operations in the Strait of Hormuz. Markets reacted with oil prices gaining and Asian shares pulling back from recent highs, reflecting the usual investor nervousness over potential sustained disruptions. Global observers warn this could represent one of the biggest threats to energy security in recent history if the standoff continues. Both sides appear to be maneuvering for leverage ahead of any renewed negotiations, with the U.S. maintaining pressure through its naval presence, while Iran signals it will not yield easily. The story is developing rapidly. Diplomats watching closely for any breakthrough or any further incidents that could widen the conflict. For now, the combination of ship seizures, blockade enforcement, and ceasefire extension leaves the region on edge, and the world economy still facing uncertainty. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK each weekday to truthfully summarize the news, and you get my opinions as well. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. M.S. Gardner, my beautiful, brilliant wife, is author of last year's Moon Meridian Prize winner from April Gloaming Publishing, Wolf's Bane, a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale you've never heard, Little Red Riding Hood, told like this. Wolfsbane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com. All one word, thecuriousauthor.com, or on Amazon. Now we grok the headlines from around the world. Dateline, Richmond, Virginia. A judge in Tazewell County ruled that Virginia cannot certify the narrow voter approval of a mid-decade congressional redistricting referendum, declaring the ballot measure is unconstitutional and illegal. State Attorney General Jason Miyares plans an immediate appeal as Republicans and Democrats clash over the map that would favor Democrats in future midterms, virtually eliminating Republican representation. President Trump called the vote rigged. Dateline, Denmark. 2 passenger trains collided head-on in Denmark on Wednesday, leaving at least 5 people critically injured and several others hurt in a crash that triggered a massive emergency response with rescue teams working at the scene. Authorities have launched an investigation into the cause while emergency services continue to treat the wounded. Dateline, Equatorial Guinea. Pope Leo XIV sharply criticized harsh prison conditions in Equatorial Guinea as he concluded his Africa tour, urging reforms to improve human rights and inmate treatment across the continent during his final stops. The pontiff highlighted widespread concerns about justice systems in several African nations. Dateline, Brussels, Belgium. The European Union approved a major €90 billion loan package for Ukraine, and they've reactivated a key energy pipeline, finally ending months of funding deadlock and delivering fresh financial and energy support to Kiev amid its ongoing challenges in the proxy war against Russia. Dateline, London and Paris. The United Kingdom and France signed a new 3-year, £662 million agreement to tackle small boat migrant crossings in the English Channel, focusing on enhanced intelligence sharing, joint patrols, and stronger enforcement to reduce irregular migration. I'm just thinking that President Trump would say we're going to eliminate it entirely. If the Royal Navy were a navy, they could do it. Dateline, Washington, D.C. The U.S. Department of Justice is pursuing wire fraud and money laundering charges against the Southern Poverty Law Center as part of an active investigation raising questions about the organization's practices and its potential influence on nationwide redistricting battles between Republicans and Democrats. Basically, the SPLC is accused of raising money and giving money to white supremacy organizations like the KKK and then complaining about the rise of white supremacy like the KKK. Dateline, Waco, Texas. Turning Point USA claimed Baylor University deliberately sabotaged a campus event featuring border czar Tom Homan and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton by denying entry to approximately 80% of the registered conservative attendees, sparking accusation of viewpoint discrimination at this private, supposedly Christian school. Dateline, The Hague and Manila. The International Criminal Court confirmed crimes against humanity charges against former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, advancing his case, which is related to his administration's controversial anti-drug campaign, clearing the path for a full trial in The Hague. Dateline, the South China Sea. A senior Taiwanese minister made a rare official visit to a disputed island in the South China Sea, underscoring Taipei's claims in the contested waters as regional territorial tensions with mainland China continue to simmer. Dateline Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Unified School District became the first major U.S. public school system to approve strict new limits on classroom screen time for students, aiming to reduce digital distractions and improve focus, attention, and overall learning outcomes. Back when this observer was that age, the method used to improve focus, attention, and overall learning outcomes was a hickory stick. Dateline the United States. MrBeast's company faces a new lawsuit alleging sexual harassment and wrongful termination by former employees, bringing fresh scrutiny to workplace practices at the popular YouTube content creator's rapidly expanding business empire. Dateline Zambia. The Zambian government officials took possession of the body of the country's former president in a repatriation dispute with his family over burial arrangements, escalating tensions surrounding the late leader's final resting place. And Dateline the United Kingdom. A BBC secret filming investigation exposed several high street mini-marts in the UK openly selling cocaine, cannabis, and prescription drugs to undercover customers, revealing widespread illegal drug activity in ordinary convenience stores. Well, all you can get in American convenience stores is booze, vapes, and smokes. Well, I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again GROK the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.